The automatic transmission is the second heart of your car, and it's also the thing that makes many people wince at the wallet when it breaks. Just one jerk, one gear slip, and the bill can shoot straight up to a few $1,000s. But what few people know is that most transmission damage isn't due to technical faults, but rather the driver's own small daily habits. This video will show you 7 simple tips that don't cost much money, but can help your transmission last hundreds of thousands more miles, keeping the car smooth, shift seamless, and avoiding those wallet-hurting repair bills. Like to keep this video in your favorites list. 7. Change the transmission fluid regularly. The automatic transmission is a component that works almost non-stop every time you accelerate, brake, or stop at a red light. Every movement, every gear shift is controlled by the transmission fluid, that liquid that lubricates, cools, and creates pressure for smooth shifting. Yet, many drivers have the habit of completely forgetting to change this fluid until the transmission starts jerking, slipping, or feeling heavy like it's dragging a ton of iron behind it. And by then, it's too late. A full transmission overhaul in the US can cost from $3,000 to $6,000, while changing the fluid is just a few $100s. Clearly an easy math problem to choose. What makes many people complacent is the phrase lifetime fluid, transmission fluid that lasts the lifetime. In reality, no fluid lasts forever. Transmission fluid still oxidizes, loses viscosity, and gets dirty over time. At that point, it can no longer protect the internal parts, causing increased friction and more heat generation. And you know it, heat is the biggest enemy of the transmission. Just running for long periods with old fluid will start scorching the clutches and control valves inside, creating sludge, and the chain of damage will continue nonstop. The best way is to change the fluid regularly, but not every vehicle is the same. For sensitive models like Nissan or Dodge, I always advise customers to change it every 30,000 miles. For Toyota, Honda, or Lexus, you can extend it to 60,000 to 80,000 miles and still be fine. Don't just listen to a mechanic say, "It's still good, no need yet." The fluid color doesn't tell everything. Check according to the manufacturer's recommended maintenance schedule, or have a mechanic with diagnostic equipment scan the fluid temperature to know exactly when to change. Another common mistake is choosing the wrong type of fluid. Each car manufacturer has its own fluid formula, differing in viscosity and additive composition. If your car requires ATF-WS and you accidentally pour in Dexron 3, you're basically signing a death sentence for the transmission. Wrong viscosity fluid causes hydraulic pressure to be off standard, leading to delayed shifts, hard jerks, or failure to engage gears. Worse, it can ruin the friction lining inside the clutch packs. So, always use the exact OEM fluid that the car requires. Correct code, correct specification. With newer cars, you can't even DIY at home like before. Many transmissions have eliminated the dipstick or drain plug because manufacturers fear users pouring the wrong type. Changing fluid properly now requires specialized machines to measure pressure, measure temperature, and even test drive and refill the exact amount. Without equipment, it's easy to underfill or overfill, and both are dangerous. Overfilling increases pressure, causing seals to leak. Underfilling makes the transmission suck in air, slip, and burn clutches. In short, changing transmission fluid isn't just maintenance for fun, but a small investment to protect the most expensive machinery on the car. Do it regularly with the right type and cycle, and you won't have to worry about the car jerking on every shift or a $5,000 bill waiting in the garage. Keep the fluid clean, and the transmission will live long. It's that simple. 6. Keep tires at the correct and even pressure. Many people think transmission failure is due to mechanical issues or dirty fluid, but in reality, there's another silent culprit: the tires. It sounds unrelated, but incorrect pressure or uneven tire wear is what makes the transmission work many times harder. When the transmission has to strain beyond its limits, the result is reduced lifespan, more heat generation, and skyrocketing repair costs. With two-wheel drive vehicles, uneven force transmission between axles makes the transmission adjust constantly. But with full-time all-wheel drive, AWD vehicles, the problem is even more serious. Just one tire with a different diameter from the others, and the system immediately misreads signals. The car's computer constantly redistributes torque to compensate, keeping clutches and gears in the transmission under stress. This process happens thousands of times per minute, and over time, the entire drivetrain wears out many times faster. A typical example is a Subaru Forester AWD, where the owner only replaced 2 rear tires to save money. After less than 10,000 miles, the CVT transmission started whining and vibrating strongly. Upon inspection, the rear tire's diameter was nearly half an inch smaller than the front due to uneven wear. That small difference forced the AWD system to work non-stop to balance wheel speeds, leading to burning the center clutch pack. Repair bill nearly $4,200, all because of skimping on a few $100s to replace all 4 tires. Not just wear, mixing brands or types of tires also causes harm. The tread pattern, hardness, and elasticity of each rubber type aren't the same, causing slight differences in actual rolling speeds of each wheel. Systems like ABS, electronic stability control, or traction control will constantly intervene, adding more pressure to the transmission and clutches. The solution is very simple. Maintain standard tire pressure and replace all 4 tires at once. Check pressure at least monthly or whenever the weather changes drastically, because for every 10 degrees Celsius drop, pressure can fall about 1 psi. With vehicles that have TPMS sensors, don't ignore the warning light. That's a direct reminder that the transmission is working over time. 5. Use the correct type of transmission fluid, OEM fluid. Many drivers think all transmission fluids are the same. As long as it's red, smooth, and looks clean, it's good to go. But this is one of the most damaging mistakes that leads to early transmission failure. Transmission fluid isn't just a lubricant. It's the hydraulic lifeblood that helps the car shift gears at the right time, smoothly and seamlessly. Using the wrong fluid throws the entire system off rhythm, like a heart racing, but without enough blood to sustain the body. Every vehicle is designed with a specific fluid formula, called the manufacturer's standard transmission fluid. This fluid has precise viscosity, additives, and friction properties calculated for each type of transmission. For example, some Ford models use Mercon LV, Toyota uses WS, and Honda uses DW1, while European cars have entirely different formulas. Using the wrong fluid can alter the internal hydraulic pressure, causing slow shifts, harsh jerks, or gear slipping. If this happens hundreds of times a day, the clutches and control valves will burn out, leading to repair costs in the thousands of dollars. Many car owners also fall for the marketing of universal transmission fluids sold on the market. In reality, no fluid fits all vehicles. Each manufacturer uses specific additive packages. Some enhance anti-slip properties, and others need high grip to hold the clutch. Mixing these formulas is like mixing medicine without knowing the dosage. Modern transmissions rely on absolute precision. A slight deviation in viscosity or friction properties is enough to make the electronic valves misread signals, leading to incorrect shifting. Another thing many don't realize: newer transmission fluids are often synthetic, offering better heat resistance, less oxidation, and more stable viscosity compared to older mineral-based fluids. This allows the vehicle to run smoother and extends the transmission's lifespan. But these benefits only work fully when you use the exact fluid designed for the transmission. Using a different fluid, even if it's also synthetic, won't match the required formula. If you're nodding in agreement, like the video now. 4. Keep the cooling system in good condition. The cooling system is something few people notice until the temperature gauge shoots into the red or smoke starts billowing from the hood. But the truth is, if the cooling system is weak, not only the engine, but also the automatic transmission will suffer serious consequences. Most modern cars have a transmission fluid cooler integrated with the radiator. In other words, when the coolant gets too hot, the transmission fluid heats up too, and just a few instances like this can cut the transmission's lifespan in half. High temperatures are the silent killer of transmissions. Transmission fluid works best at around 175–195 degrees Celsius. Beyond that, its viscosity drops, it thins out, and its lubricating ability fades. Internal metal parts start rubbing, generating more heat and creating sludge. These tiny debris particles flow through the fluid lines, clogging valves and causing gear slipping. Many cars experience slow shifts, slight jerks, or whining noises, all starting from a radiator that no longer cools effectively. 3 common reasons for a failing cooling system are a dirty radiator, a malfunctioning fan, or degraded coolant. Just dust, leaves, or a plastic bag covering the radiator's front can block airflow, raising coolant temperature by tens of degrees. That's why you should check the radiator's front every month and gently rinse off any buildup. The cooling fan is also critical. If the motor is weak or the temperature sensor fails, the fan won't kick on at the right time, and the coolant won't circulate properly. The result is localized overheating in the engine and transmission, often without the driver noticing. And what about the coolant itself? Over time, its anti-rust and anti-boiling agents lose effectiveness, forming rust sludge. This buildup clogs the transmission fluid cooler, preventing the fluid from dissipating heat, keeping it constantly simmering hot. One more thing, don't mix coolants carelessly. Each car manufacturer specifies its own coolant type. Mixing the wrong types can cause precipitation, clogging the lines, reducing cooling efficiency, and speeding up radiator damage. Skimping the wrong way can lead to transmission repair bills in the thousands of dollars. 3. Check the battery and alternator. Many people think the battery and alternator only affect starting the car. But in modern vehicles, especially those with automatic transmissions, low voltage can cause the transmission to malfunction, leading to jerky shifts or unexpected gear slipping. It sounds hard to believe, but the entire gear shifting process is now electronically controlled. Just a slight drop in voltage can misalign signals between the transmission and the computer, triggering a cascade of problems. It's not just low voltage that causes harm. When the alternator operates inconsistently, charging too strong one moment, too weak the next, the vehicle experiences fluctuating voltage. These erratic power surges damage the transmission's control system. Some cars will display errors like transmission malfunction or service transmission soon, but others only show subtle signs, like slight shift jerks or the car not accelerating as expected when you press the gas. Checking the battery and alternator isn't hard. Just use a multimeter. When the car is off, voltage should be around 12.6 V. When running, it should be about 13.8 to 14.4 V. If it's lower, the battery might be weak or the alternator isn't charging properly. Also, check the ground wires. If they're oxidized, loose, or rusted, electricity won't flow correctly. A bad ground can cause the transmission to receive faulty signals, leading to jerky movements or even failure to shift. 2. Ensure good ground wires. If the car's electrical system is its bloodstream, then the ground wire, also called the grounding cable, is the path that lets electricity flow back to its source. It may seem insignificant, but it's one of the most critical components for keeping an automatic transmission running smoothly. Many people check the battery, alternator, or fuses, but overlook the ground wire. By the time the car starts jerking during shifts, throwing transmission errors, or failing to engage gears, the problem has already become much more complicated. Modern transmissions rely entirely on electronics. Sensors, solenoid valves, and control modules all need a stable power supply. Electricity flows from the battery, through the central computer, and must return to the battery via the ground wire. If the ground wire is loose, rusted, or internally broken, the current can't flow back properly. This causes the system to receive faulty signals, solenoid valves fail to open at the right time, and the transmission shifts late, jerks, or slips unexpectedly. In some cases, the transmission stops working entirely despite normal fluid, voltage, and sensors, just because the ground wire is too old. A common issue is oxidation at the ground wire's contact points. After a few years, moisture and dirt can coat the metal surface with a thin layer of rust, obstructing the current. Even a slight increase in resistance is enough to distort electronic signals. The car becomes fussy, shifting smoothly one moment, jerking hard the next, or throwing transmission errors that disappear when checked at the shop. Another issue is mechanics forgetting to reconnect ground wires during repairs. Many vehicles, especially GM models, have 3 to 5 ground wires scattered across the chassis, transmission, and engine block. If one is overlooked, the entire transmission control circuit can become unstable. The car may show phantom symptoms like slipping gears, failing to engage drive or reverse, or even entering limp mode where it's stuck in a single gear. Checking is simple. During maintenance, ask the mechanic to inspect the ground wires from the battery to the chassis and from the chassis to the transmission. The connections must be clean, shiny, and tightly secured. If there's rust or dirt, just remove the wire, lightly sand it, and tighten it back. For older cars, especially in humid or coastal areas, consider replacing ground wires every 4 to 5 years to avoid risks. 1. Check for leaks in transmission fluid levels. One of the most common reasons an automatic transmission dies early isn't component failure or technical issues, but simply undetected fluid loss. Transmission fluid doesn't just lubricate, it transfers power and cools the system. Without enough fluid, the entire system runs dry. Friction skyrockets, heat builds up exponentially, and within just a few dozen minutes, the transmission can burn out. The problem is, transmissions don't warn you early like engines do. There's no low transmission fluid light or pressure sensor. Many newer cars don't even have a dipstick, making it harder for drivers to notice. So, if your car shifts slowly, jerks slightly, or makes strange whining noises when accelerating, it could be a sign the transmission is thirsty for fluid. The easiest way to check is to look under the car. After parking overnight, see if there's any fluid stain on the ground. Transmission fluid is usually bright red or dark red with a slightly burnt smell. If you see a palm-sized puddle appearing regularly, the transmission is leaking somewhere, the axle seals, fluid lines, or pan gasket. Don't brush it off as just a little leak. Transmission fluid works under hydraulic pressure, and even a small loss can reduce pressure enough to cause improper shifting. Automatic transmissions don't fail randomly. They fail from neglect. Just keep the fluid clean, tires even, cooling system strong, electrical system stable, and free of leaks, and your car can run reliably for hundreds of thousands of miles without a single transmission repair. These steps aren't complicated or expensive, but they save you from a $5,000 bill caused by a moment's carelessness. Pay attention to the small details, and your transmission will stay smooth, durable, and truly cost-effective. Got any better tips? Comment below.